Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 540. This is the official video. Oh, no, this is the official podcast of Secret Friends Unite.
Vehicle,
this is your guide to the, yeah, it's been a long week.
We're driving.
Yes.
We're driving. Aren't the longest weeks the weeks when because you've been off this past week?
I've been off, yeah. It feels like it's like
you've been like doing a bunch of shit. So
doing stuff, cleaning up, rearranging, all that stuff. Well, yes, this is Secret Friends Unite. This is your guide to the geek side. I am Todd Oxter, one of your hosts, joined by Charlie Carden.
Flippity flop and floppity flip. Todd, I was going to tell you before we got rolling today, I was reminded a very long time ago, this is very random, when I visited the first house that you had out there in the Twin Cities, you had a no solicitor sign on your door.
Yes.
And I'm like, man, that's some old man shit right there. Guess what came in the flash forward to now what came in the mail to me today? I ordered the same sign because I had a very aggressive guy come up on my porch, try to sell me some kind of insect treatment, and I could not get him. I could not get him.
Was it Aptive?
I didn't even give him. I said, I appreciate your pitch. I said, no. He was like, well, tell me what you're paying now because I sold it to your neighbor. But I'm like, I appreciate your pitch. I got you. I gotta go. And I'm inside my house and he's still, I don't know if he was talking shit about me as he was walking away, but I'm like, not that a sign is really going to help, but man, I got to do something because
it's something. Yeah. Yes, it's a deterrent. And I mean, my dog just barks like a mad dog when somebody comes to the door. So hopefully that's enough to like deter them. And I just look at my cam from ADT and I'm like, okay, I'll wait till he goes away.
Yeah. But I'm just like, but anyway, it was a random thought that I felt like bringing up because I remember I'm like, man, why would you need something like that? Now I know.
Oh, now I know. Bad. But you know what? Now he's probably planted ants and cockroaches outside your house.
That's probably what he did as he was walking away. He had a little jar and he just dumped them on my desk.
That's Ant-Man in his spare job. That's what he
does. He creates the opportunities for himself.
Falling on hard times. Yes.
Falling on hard times. Yes. Anyway.
Yes. So just to kick this episode off a little different, I am making an announcement. And Charlie and I have already talked about this. Won't be a surprise to him.
That'd be a hell of a surprise, wouldn't it?
Drop it like a bomb. Yeah. Microphone dropped. But I have made the decision to step away from Secret Friends Unite. It's a combination of many things. It's not a I hate Charlie, we're breaking up. It's not that. It's 11 years.
I would understand regardless, but
yeah. It's 11 years of doing, actually it goes back 12 years because we started the Facebook group and then a year later we said, let's do a podcast. We've had many milestones along the way, like when we did a live episode, we tried to figure out how to record and video and how to do all this stuff. And I'm thinking, of all the accomplishments we've had with having cool people, interviews. We went from, actually doing things in a more professional manner with, a real equipment, things like that. One time Charlie podcasted from the bed, which I always thought was a brave tactic.
It's very cool, baby. It's very cool. Yeah. I've definitely gone through spaces because I was in my dining room for the longest time in this house, and I've been here for about 2 years, and this, but I get it. If we were one of these, if we were Joe Rogan, first of all, I wouldn't want to be Joe Rogan, but if we were like one of these monstrous money pouring in all the time, like this is what we do for a living, I get it. But when it becomes, this big chore and there's other things you want to do with your life, you're obviously at a place in your life where, things are changing. Your son is out of the house. You want to do other stuff. I get it. For me, this is, I don't want to say this has been my dream, but it's been something that I've dreamt my way into. So the show itself will continue with Peter and I, Holocron, which we've taken over, Code 47, which will, I suppose, for lack of a better, become our flagship, simply because it's the show that's been around the longest, that's ongoing. But this show, and Todd and I were talking about this in the pre-roll, will become a little bit more of an event-based. So let's say it's next summer and Spider-Man, what the hell is that movie going to be called now? Brand New Day. Yes. New Day is coming out. I will hopefully have Todd back on and maybe some other people, and we'll talk about that movie. You know what I mean? So it'll be a special. We're also looking to actually venture into the TikTok world. My friend Eric Hultgren does TikToks about pop culture stuff. And I think I might do the same. So there's going to be a lot to come. Pay attention to the socials. You know where to find us. But we're gonna still keep making content. You're still gonna see the Patreon shows that I make. You'll see them more consistently out here on the network feed as well. And hopefully that leads you back to the Patreon too, so you can get more. So anyway, Todd, I have hijacked your announcement, and now back to you.
No, it's just good that people know that this will continue. And Peter, your co-host, has really come on board and become a larger part of the show now. So it's not like I'm abandoning you. I have nobody to connect with and do these type of things, which is good. And everything's set up. So everyone who's part of the Patreon, part of all the different groups in Discord, it will continue to be here. I will be a lurker. I will, be available if there's something that's really cool and we want to talk. I'm not leaving the world of creative overall. I'm thinking about what's next for myself in regards to what I want to do. I still want to get into something creative, but it's like my mind after 11 years, I'm like thinking, I want to have a different focus than just more of the weekly news, things like that. I want to look in a different place. So I will tell you that Waiver Wire Wizards will continue. That'll be a new place, a new home for that, just because it's a little different. Really doesn't really fit Secret Friends Unite, to be honest. It's fantasy football. And then the video game show, I will be doing something. I'm not sure yet what that will be, but once Mark left, it kind of didn't feel the same. So it's going to have a different feel and things like that. So, just we'll talk about where you can follow me, but, just watch what I'm doing. And yeah, it's going to be different, and it's going to be a little bit different space. And, it's part of the reason why I wanted to have Charlie still keep the heart of what Secret Friends Unite is and what he's doing that makes sense, and not to derail either. So that's where we're at. So we have one more episode of this, and there'll be another episode
after today. We're going to wrap
Correct.
up the summer movie season. We're going to have John back, our very old friend John. And Todd, I respect what you're doing, and trust me, you remember when I started Code, I had 3 people in a row just drop out on me. No word, just maybe a nasty email, maybe a rage quit. So it's like no respect. You know what I mean? And this was respectful. This was caring about the brand. This was caring about a friendship. I think when you're not doing it with people who are really a friend first, that's when things kind of probably fall apart, because you just don't care, Yep. And we've always cared. We've been friends for 30 years. 30 years this month, as a matter of fact, September.
Crazy.
Yeah, September of 1995, and that's when this all got rolling. So yes, this will be here. Love to see Todd back when he's like, oh man, I just saw this new show, I got to talk about blah, or Peacemaker just ended and I want to talk about the season or something. We'll we talk every day, so something
Absolutely.
will come up. So anything else?
No, that's it. So like I said, we'll have one episode more of Secret Friends Unite following this, and it's kind of like actually kind of is befitting because it's right around the time we started the show 11 years ago, right in September. Wow. So, and it's with John. We're going to be talking about the movie Wager, wrapping it up. So it's kind of a good place to say that is phase 1 of Secret Friends Unite, or 2, or whatever we were on, whatever Marvel was doing.
78.
We were doing 2 because there was the Mark era, other hosts and stuff like that. But whatever you want to call it, Charlie, that's the new phase. And excited to see what you guys do, mix things around. It's good. One ending is a good way to have a new beginning and do something.
Exactly. Yep. Never bow down, never surrender.
That's right.
I'm gonna abbreviate the Patreons this week because the good news is you know who you are. But do keep in mind we've got a lot of great bonus content, early programs, shows without ads, etc. Over on our Patreon at patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. Try us out for a week for free. It's half off your first month and you stay on board for as little as $2 a month. And again, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. We hope to see you there. All right. Wow, I'm going to miss these covers so Adventure Comics, and it's funny, I start to kind of get the vibe with these DC comics. There's not even a price on this one. Is there?
The reason why is because it's from the DC Universe Infinite. It's from their website.
Oh, okay.
But assuming looking at it, the year, the issue number, the characters involved.
And then they have the little circle box up above
Yep.
has a certain style. And it was before DC. Remember how they, at the very top, they'll have like the little checkered going across from one side to
Marvel
another?
used that for a little bit too. Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah.
So I can't necessarily pin this down. I'm going to say very late 50s, early 60s is my feeling. But yeah, Adventure Comics, I feel like that's one that you don't hear about a lot. So this is Superboy and the Legion of the Superheroes. And I definitely know a little bit about that connection, because isn't the Legion of the Superheroes from like the 38th century or something in the distant future?
From the far future. They were investigating because I don't think they had a Superman in their future. He was a hero, so they went back in time to visit, and they just created this connection. The Legions had flying rings, the Legion rings, and the whole point was each planet had someone that was powered and would join to defend the universe. That was kind of their
very exciting. Yes. But it's funny, you can absolutely see where the plot of Superman 3 came from. It came from this cover, because you have a computer, and I remember this from middle school. The very first computer from the 1940s was, I think, called ENIAC or EDIAC, something like that. Does that sound familiar? Have you ever heard of this story? I remember learning I swear there was an E in it.
Mr. Babbage, what was his first computer?
There you go. But yeah, no, I remember learning about that in like 6th or 7th grade. But this is literally, it's the punch card computer. It has two basically megaphones for eyeballs. It's speaking by saying it's speaking. This is Computo speaking. Surrender, Superboy, or I'll annihilate my other hostage, just as I'm destroying Triplicate Girl, who I assume is the person that is wrapped up, and she almost looks like, remember, that was the thing that scared the shit out of me about that Superman 3, when the woman gets snared and didn't you say that was the thing that made you run out of the movie theater as a child?
No, it was Gremlins.
It was Gremlins.
When the professor was checking on the gremlin in the room. That's
maybe I'm projecting, and this was the thing that made me say, it's too much for me.
The woman that was getting all the metal components on her face turning into a robot, essentially.
It started flipping her around. So, that movie freaked me out for a long time. So that's what's happening to Triplicate Girl, I assume, is the one being wrapped up here.
Or something.
Yeah, well, because she's kind of invisible. You can't quite tell, but
Triplicate Girl, I believe, could duplicate herself or
there you go.
Herself, I guess. Yeah.
So Superboy is having a thought bubble. This heartless jukebox means business. By fighting it, I'm sacrificed. So I assume he's kind of given up on her. I've sacrificed poor Triplicate Girl. I can't let him destroy Lightning Lad, who is in the background behind Superman. I can't. So I'll give up. And Lightning Lad, who is really looks like he's wearing some kind of a stage magician outfit, I think. But he's got Lion-O's legs. They're orange. Unless it's
his underwear are tucked into his belt.
Oh, it's a classic look back in the 1960s. Then we finish off the cover with a box that says, introducing Computo the Conqueror, the electronic enemy programmed to wipe out superheroes! ! So where did I land with? And of course, this is issue 340, because we're on episode 540. What is the actual publication date? I've given my vague guess.
January 5th, 1966. So mid-60s.
Late 60s. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is one of those books where it felt like it was still kind of trapped in
the 50s.
The old days, yeah. And at this point, just bringing maybe a better description of this.
Because Marvel was not doing this kind of cover at that same time. There might be some over talking like, Spider-Man, I'm gonna blah 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 blah, and he's like, how will I stop the Rhino? And then that would be it. It wouldn't be this novel of like all this different shit going on this cover. It's too much. It's too much, man. So what'd you find?
It is kind of interesting. I mean, at this point, Jerry Siegel, one of the creators of Superman, was still drawing this book at the time. I mean, we're talking, this dude has been doing it for 24 years. So I don't think he was exactly is keeping up with the times. He was probably doing what he was used to.
Same old. Get up and go to work and write a lot of words. Or the letterer was telling the letterer, hey, this cover is going to have a blurb here and a block here and a block here, and you got to write some words.
Yeah, and Kurt Swan, one of the famous Superman artists, was drawing it at the time. So I mean, there's not much else to say except for Brainiac 5. He was the smart kid, would create things, and of course, he created a it's basically this device, Computo, basically absorbed Brainiac 5's vast knowledge, then builds an army of similar robots to seek out the world's most intelligent people.
So it's Ultron.
Their intelligence as well.
It's kind of like Ultron.
Yeah. So there we go. So not much more. I mean, lots of. I mean, what I loved about the Legion superheroes, just some of their names are funny. Like you got Lass and Lad and Boy.
Right.
And Girl and Shrinking Violet is one of the names of the characters. Or Triplicate Girl Duo Damsel was another one.
Two damsels?
After one copy dies, she becomes Duo Damsel. So it's like, oopsie.
Whoops.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Well, I'll tell you what. Someone who, the real mastermind behind Brainiac, behind Computo, Todd, I know you're going to know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
Even in her late 60s, Alexa wanted to tell me something just now. Even in her late 60s, our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb, was making mayhem in the DC universe. But these days, she works for us down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine with all of the latest news. So let's go have a look.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's Rumors and News. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Yes, that was your plot because, unfortunately, your application to the Legion of Superhero was turned down. Unfortunately, they weren't looking for Crone Lass as the name of the character. Unfortunately, we're too old. Like Menudo. That
kind of Crohn's, not like the terrible Crohn's. Not that kind of Crohn's. Okay, good. Yeah. That would be unfortunate, but that
would be a horrible power.
Yeah, right. Yeah, what do you do? It's like the guy I watched. I can never keep him straight. Is it The Suicide Squad? Is the James Gunn one where the one that came out most recently that is still part of continuity in 2021?
That's the worst idea.
But anyway, I was going to say they had the one guy who was Nathan Fillion's character that he could detach his arms and go punch people. And that was it. Yeah. So all people did was shoot him and then shoot his arms, and he was dead.
Well, yeah, I guess think about it this way: like when people say the Ohio State University because they want to say it's the real one. The Suicide Squad is the real one that we
very good. Okay. Is another Ohio? Are they trying to separate themselves from the state of Ohio? Is that why?
No one knows, Charlie. No one knows. Ohio people are weird.
Yeah, being that I have worked in and out of the state of Ohio because it's very pivotal in the restaurant industry in the Midwest. They're an interesting breed. I have a couple of very good friends who live in Ohio, but they're a different breed. There's no doubt about it. No disrespect to anyone hearing my voice who lives in Ohio. All right, first story. Harry Potter is coming back to HBO Max in a television series. And this was, I had posted this on our Discord yesterday. There was some lively conversation. But this was the first time that I've seen the leads side by side. And the kid's not wearing glasses. What? So being so much that you're much more of a Potterhead than I am, as I recall, why don't you tell me what we got going on here?
Yeah, so we are getting this new HBO Max series, and I truly understand people that are not into it because of the creator. Totally get it.
Yep,
but as I've always believed, sometimes it's very important to separate the art from the artist because, unfortunately, there are a lot of bad people who make really good stuff that inspire others. I know a lot of people in the LGBTQ community have also embraced it because they felt like it was something they could relate to and that brought them joy. So, you know what? If you don't love it, great, boycott it, do whatever you want. But I would say don't attack people who do enjoy it because you know what?
Yeah.
They may be an ally to you, but they may enjoy something. And, we're not directly paying her, but yes, she's making money of this. But we're also getting great people who spoke out against her. They were prior cast members. So you know what? It is what it is in this case. But in regards to this production, this is actually going to be taking a unique view where it's going to be every season will be one book. So the opportunity with this is that this will probably be a more faithful adaptation of the books, meaning there's a lot of things in the books that were left out of the movies because the movies are only 2 hours long, and which I think a lot of people will appreciate because that's the type of little, nuances that are fun as part of a book that you lose when you do that. And one of those nuances is that fact that Charlie,
not me,
I guess
from the book,
not me. One of the Weasleys, Charlie was one of the brothers, but basically he was never in the film because they basically just said Charlie's in Romania at the moment, but will joining us soon enough. It reads, but was never in the movie. So we've got a picture of the family of Weasleys now, very redheaded, curly-haired folks, and we're going to get basically Fred, George, Percy, Gracie, and Ginny along the way. So that will be cool.
Which one of the characters was the dude who is now starring in the paper, and he was General Hux in Star Wars?
He's
Brendan Gleeson's son.
It was
Brendan
Fred,
Gleeson's son.
I think.
Oh, okay.
It was Fred, maybe, because the two brothers. There
was the twins. There was the twins. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. I think it was brothers. Fred or.
And one of them dies in the.
George, I think,
one of them dies in the climactic battle, as I recall.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. They have an older brother who is a little more heroic. Yeah.
Sorry about spoilers.
And then we've got. And it's kind of cool because Warwick Davis is coming back, and he played two of the characters within Harry Potter, and so he is going to be back in this series as well. But we are getting a whole new cast. If you go down, you can see that they've announced most of the new cast. They're very young looking, and Nick Frost is going to be Hagrid. They're going to get some new actors, which we get. John Lithgow is going to be Dumbledore. So I'm excited for this just because I think it will be a new take on Harry Potter, which we haven't seen before. And the movies are now how old now? 25.
First movie was in 2001, if I'm not mistaken. The last one was in 2011. I just saw a Watch Mojo about it, so that's why it's kind of fresh in my mind. Interesting that it says here Chris Columbus, who I just not that Chris Columbus, but I actually just watched. We were watching a Netflix movie, the Thursday Afternoon Murder Club or something that he directed. That's a straight to Netflix that he directed. When it came up, I said, "Oh, it's Chris Columbus. It's the Harry Potter guy." Is not enthusiastic. He recently shared his thoughts. It's where he says, "Part of me was like, what's the point? It's all going to be the same," which I have to disagree for the reasons that Todd just said. You take a book, you have 8 hours or 8 episodes, or maybe they're going to be half-hour segments, so maybe it's 4 hours, but you can break things down for a new generation and do them in a way that's a little bit more fleshed out. Though, to be honest, something in TV is probably more for the adults, don't you think, in a lot of ways, to enjoy it?
It's also another way for, a different generation to find it, enjoy it.
Worked for Lilo and Stitch on the big screen, obviously.
Yeah. And Chris Columbus, I would say he directed the most plain movies. The first two were kind of just kind of bland, didn't have a lot of artistic take. And then you got some other ones like Cuarón directed one of them, I believe was The Prisoner of Azkaban, which I really liked because it felt like it added a lot more.
There's a lot of tension and suspense, really kind of amped the game. Yeah. Yeah. And the final 2-parter, which was the single final book, was very intense and very layered. I thought, I agree with you there. So yes, I will admit I will watch. And again, as Todd said, not looking to get ourselves canceled because we don't condone the original creator either, and that person's views on things, but hopefully don't cancel us just for sampling it. I could watch it and it could be crap and I don't go back to it, but I will give it a shot. Why the hell not? Because I would say that's what we do here. But as citizens of the entertainment journalism world, as we have been, we watch things and we try to look at them critically. And if it's no good, we'll find a way to talk. I wouldn't be surprised if you would hear us back then here on this broadcast talking about that, at least giving some thoughts. We'll see. You'll find out in 2027.
Absolutely. So, Charlie, we are getting a return to Silent Hill. So, with
return to Silent Hill, because there was a second one, but this,
Correct. So we're getting this Return to Silent Hill, which is an adaptation of Silent Hill 2, which there was just a remake of the video game. And there's a lot of iconic characters in that video game. A character called Pyramid Head, who's something to do with the pyramid on his head. And then a lot of undead nurses who are in this game as well. And now we are seeing essentially an adaptation of that video game. And it didn't look too great when I saw it. I'm like, this looks really...
The video game, the video game, or this trailer?
No, this trailer. Yeah, it just felt a little sus.
I agree with you because, and if you think about it, the first film, which I've seen a couple of times, is pretty hokey. It was shot in Vancouver, as many things were, and you had a lot of people trying to talk American because it's supposed to be set in West Virginia. Or no, the couple lives in Ohio, so they're trying to talk Ohio, and then other people are trying to sound like they're from West Virginia, and they're like, you filmed this in Vancouver, all these people are Canadians, and they're just really trying hard to sound American, which That's a tough one to pull off. There are Brits who try it, don't pull it off. There are Americans who I think, I don't know, you know, I'm gonna do a hot take and I'm gonna do a bold thing. I think American actors potentially have a bit more success doing a British accent than the other way around. You know what I mean? Because think about your boy James Marsters or Marston. No, the guy who was Spike and Angel. Marsters.
Yep.
Think about him doing that accent. And then think about the fact that you and I have heard him speak live in person where he just sounds like a regular ass JoJo American guy.
I mean, as we know, Dick Van Dyke has the best British accent of all time. I believe he says governor. I believe he says whatever, blimey, many times.
Right back, and he's a Cockney bootblack. I totally agree with you.
Exactly.
But I enjoyed the movie, but it's super visceral. You know, the violence is beyond gory, but it was from '06, so it's still that. It's bloody and gross, but it's also not great CGI, so it becomes more comical. And then the second one had to do with, I think, the child in it grew up and she goes back, and I feel like it was.
I never saw it.
I feel like it was a direct-to-video. I could be wrong, but I know you're looking it up right now, so you'll know in a moment.
Yeah,
here.
I will see. Yeah, let's see. 2006 was the original, and Revelation in 2012.
2012 is okay.
And with that, I believe, was Sean Bean in that?
He was in the first one. Oh, he was in both of them.
Oh, he was in both. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah.
So is
girl Rose De Silva was in both.
Rose De Silva. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of actors did not come back for that film, which is interesting.
Yeah. So are we to then believe that this will be a continuation in universe or some such, because you said it's based on a new game. What happens in the game?
Well, it's based on Silent 2 is they just had a remake of it just because it was dated. It was really cool.
I understand.
So this may be it's probably just adapting that story because it is about a guy essentially looking for his wife. He goes to Silent Hill because he got a message that she was there, and things go awry. Is the best way to say it. Yes. So. You know, it could be fun, could be interesting, but once again, with this trailer, something just didn't sit right. Like something didn't look right.
It felt very, two minds of it. A, I agree with you. B, that's kind of what the first one was like. You know, it seemed chintzy. It seemed like, and it seems like more of a kind of a VOD, you know, like a direct-to-video kind of deal. This is going to be a theatrical release, I'm guessing. That's how they're purporting
January. It's coming out in January, so that means it's either not great and it's going to get dumped there, or it'll be a surprise hit.
Runaway.
Money.
How did these? If you still have it up on screen, what was the box office on those first two, or the first one?
Good question. So if this even tells me what the box office was,
which of course, as we've learned,
for the two total films. Well, okay, two total films. The budget was $70 million. If you take the two, it was $70 million, and they made $156 million combined. So it doubled their budget. I mean,
you're better than halfway there, because the rule of thumb is 2.5, 3 is kind of where you want to be at as far as a multiplier.
It does seem like the budget was I'm guessing the budget was probably higher in the first movie than the second film.
Oh yeah. I would say it did seem a bit scaled down. Absolutely. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, 20 million made 55 million. So pretty decent return.
Almost 2.5.
Double. So basically, the first movie almost had 3 times the budget. So,
okay.
Yeah. And it also was in 3D, Charlie, so you could watch it in 3D.
Such a fad back in those days, 3D, my goodness. Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of things that I can't even believe this is the second one, because I feel like didn't the first Mortal Kombat, the recent reiteration, did that come out during COVID and it was like a direct?
It just was on HBO. You could watch it, or Max, or whatever we called it at the time. You could watch it. It didn't get a theatrical release. And I believe that Zaslav now is saying nothing is going direct to HBO Max. It's going to be in the theaters first.
Yeah, got to. So that's what's going on here. So they've moved the date to go side by side with Mando and Grogu. So suicide? Sorry, no, that's not a word you're supposed to use. Is this what's the word? Just a bad idea? Is it just a bad idea?
So this one's coming out May 15th. Grogu is the week after. So, I mean, I mean, they'll probably have a good week there. And Mando and Grogu, I mean, it's going to be for an all ages, where Mortal Kombat 2, I believe, is going to be R-rated. So even then, it's like not really competing against each other.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Though obviously there's some crossover, but because everybody loves Star Wars, right? Or at least that's what Star Wars people want you to think. But it's funny that this blurb says the new film will now be released after the heat has hopefully died down from The Devil Wears Prada 2 on May 1st.
Yes.
I don't know about you.
Complete crossover right there.
I don't know about you, but are a lot of people losing their minds over The Devil Wears Prada 2? Is that going to be like a scorcher? Is that the counter programming for the summer of 26 that's just going to, for the female quadrant, that's just going to light the world on fire?
Well, because because it was based on a book, right? Devil Wears Prada was based on a book about kind of a made up basis. I believe it was the editor of Vanity Fair. No,
probably, potentially
one of those magazines that are like big. Anna Wintour. It was about her kind of being.
Oh, there you go.
I think it was Glenn Close. Yeah, was playing kind of that version of her,
right?
And and then Emily Blunt was in it, and then Anne Hathaway. So I don't know if there was a sequel to it. So was it good? Kind of like the Bridget Jones movies. There were sequels to those. So, but it definitely skewers more female. I mean, and a certain audience. So yeah, it's like weird. Whereas Mortal Kombat is definitely going to be a dude audience.
Yeah. This just, it seems like an interesting decision, on two fronts, because there's some crossover with a male audience, which is what we're saying here. But again, above a certain age, where, like you said, Mando and Grogu, while it will not be rated G, because there is some stylized violence and things that I'm sure, like what you saw on the TV show, but it's going to be a different audience. So for the part of it that's not male based and not adult based, will this give this more of a breathing room? So it just, part of it seems to make some sense, and part of it seems to make no sense.
And it's also 2 weeks. So Devil Wears Prada is coming out 2 weeks in advance of Mortal Kombat. So I think that those movies, once again, unless it has a lot of legs. I mean, the first movie, if I look at this, it was a $40 million budget, made $330. So huge hit.
Without a theatrical release. So
No. Devil's Wears Prada.
Oh, Devil's Wears Prada. Okay, yeah, you confused me.
And that was 2006. We're talking like 19 years since the first one.
Right, and within money adjusted for inflation, that'd be a much bigger number.
Sorry, it was Meryl Streep, not Glenn Close.
Oh, very good. When you said Glenn Close, I pictured Meryl Streep. So somehow it still worked.
I know.
Somehow it still worked.
So there was a sequel book too called Revenge Wears Prada, The Devil Returns. So, I mean, it could be like
the devil,
a lot of these things where
the devil goes down to Prada. You know it.
So I have no doubt this will do well. It just, I don't think it will really impact Mortal Kombat unless someone says, "Hey, honey, you want to see Mortal Kombat?" No, we're going to see Devil Wears Prada instead.
Right.
But you know what? I've heard it's a good film, and if you like, I think it's a comedy, things like that. I'm sure everybody would like it.
I'm sure I've seen the original at some juncture. I don't remember a ton about it, but this will be kind of for more of the same. Your Sex and the City-ish crowd, people who like ladies being ladies, I guess. So
and Mortal Kombat most likely will be just do really big its first week.
Yep.
And then it'll just die down anyway. So
front load. Where Mando and Grogu could, especially if it's good, could get some legs, some healthier legs, hopefully. But then it's got what's the next big thing after that? Spider-Man doesn't drop until the end of July. What else is between then and there?
Good question. I'm not sure.
Moana? When is Moana 2? Moana live action?
One of those, I know Disney likes to put like a month or two between their releases.
Right.
So we don't really know. I mean, I'd have to look.
Right.
Maybe just another Despicable Me. There's not a Shrek this summer.
I don't know.
It's the following year.
It's pretty hot. I foresee, and hopefully I can talk you and John into coming back, and for us at least, we'll still do our movie wager, but for us to just kind of jump in and say, hey, this is what we're thinking about for the summer, and keep it alive on the social media. I'd love to keep doing that. So, well, Todd, I know that you're disappointed that they don't appear to be adapting the 2002 Star Wars Starfighter game for this movie.
Yes.
But and we're going to talk about this on Holocron as well. We're recording this weekend for a release next week. We got Laron back. Laron has been a regular contributor over on Code 47. This is his first time over on Holocron. We're going to moving forward. We're covering the original trilogy, so we're talking Empire Strikes Back, and we'll talk about this. Coming out in 2027, Star Wars Starfighter. We got a slew of cast news from director Sean Levy. Of course, our main actor is the Gaz, Ryan Gosling, doing his best Star Wars Ken, I guess. But yeah, check out these names. So yeah, Gosling, Mia Goth, that would be Todd's favorite female actor of all time.
Fake name.
Fake name. Fake name, fake person. Fake name.
Yes.
Real name, fake person. Matt Smith of Doctor Who. He's got that movie out now where he looks like the London Calling punk. What is it? The Stealing something with Austin Butler.
Caught Stealing, I believe.
Stealing.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
Flynn Gray is the kid. Those are the folks that sorry. Aaron Pierre, not sure if I know that name. Simon Bird, Jamail Westman, Daniel Ings, and Amy Adams. Hello, there's a name.
Excellent.
Yeah.
She's excellent.
She is.
Glad to have her.
Yeah. So this was good. So this will be set in a time frame a little beyond the sequel trilogy, which a lot of people have a lot of feelings about. We're going to go that far and say that much. But this is actually, Todd, it's doing the thing that is probably your biggest complaint in all of Star Wars, which is moving things forward, telling stories in a different place than where we've already been. And that's good. That's good. But yes, the Starfighter part of it, I think we're getting kind of a kid lost, and I think that Gosling's character is an authority figure, an uncle, maybe not a father, who has to rescue the kid, and Mia Goth is the villain. So what do you think as a more casual Star Wars film? Any of this excite you?
Is this the first post sequel trilogy thing? Or
Yes.
am I missing something?
It's certainly on the big screen. In the comics, they've never really ventured other than like a little bit here, a little bit there.
And there's been nothing on. I thought there was a TV series that was post.
There was a TV series that was in between. The animated, the Resistance animated was it was a prequel. It was a prequel immediately to The Force Awakens. Okay. If there is something and I'm forgetting it and you're listening to me talk about it, so you're like, come on. You're yelling at your iPod.
I thought there was, but if there isn't, or maybe there's going to be something else that's a TV series going to be after. But you know what? I'm all for this. I like a more simple story. I feel that's a good way to develop characters, not be another, oh, who's that? Well, Mia Goth will be that. Who's that mysterious character with a cool costume that I think is cool? And it happens with Star. That's what Star Wars does. Right. But Ryan Gosling has so much charm. I think Sean Levy knows how to make entertaining films, as we've seen. So I think it's a good recipe for just maybe making Star Wars fun again. Yeah, where it's been gloom and doom and holy cow, all this. It's fun. Yippee podcasting. That was kind of or podcasting, pod racing.
Yeah, that's the name of the episode. Yippee podcasting.
Yeah. So why not? Space fighting, Charlie. Starfighter. There's so little anything in space in Star Wars these days.
Yeah, there's so little Star to the Wars, because Star Wars has had some very big stumbles in the last few years. Different people have different opinions, but a lot of people will agree. Todd has always made the point, more is not necessarily better. When it comes to Star Wars in particular, the Book of Boba Fett was a great example of more was not better. Obi-Wan Kenobi talking about coming back for more is not better. There was some good stuff. There was some not great stuff in that, but it's past. Let's move on. Let's jump forward. And I know some of the other things that are discussed is to jump even further forward. And Rey, the character from the sequel trilogy, will start to rebuild her Jedi Academy, and you're going to have a time frame going forward from there. So things that are new. So yeah, I'm all for this. This will be a big splash of summer 2027. So we're talking about 18 months from now. And more, and the good news is this is one that you'll continue to hear about from me anyway, because we have a Star Wars show. If you haven't listened, it is called Holocron Chronicles. You can find it off of our website and wherever podcasts are found, et cetera, et cetera.
So it looks like then we're going to get, potentially maybe going forward, Star Wars, a movie a year, and then probably no more than 2 TV series a year. Is that the plan?
That's would be more than they're doing now. But yeah, I've heard something to that, and I've already closed the window, but I've heard something to that effect. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So that's good.
That's not a bad approach, but of course, release less.
Right. Yes. Let people actually enjoy. Yeah, and let absence make the heart grow fonder. So, all right, James Gunn and Clay Face. This is part of the DCU proper, is it not? This new production.
Correct. It's part of the Gods and Monsters of James Gunn's when he announced all his projects. We are getting this movie called Clayface. There actually is in production. There's photos from the set. And Clayface is a heritage Batman villain who has had different origin stories, but basically he was an actor and he tried to keep himself young, which went awry because I guess this aging stuff turned him into kind of a monster, and he could change his appearance, but he couldn't hold it very long. Yeah. And then we've seen different versions, and we've seen different versions of him where he becomes a monster, can control himself. And then I think the animated series where I think a lot of people know of the character most likely, where he just was always playing an actor. And in this instance, it looks like we're going to go that route because we've got so the person who's playing Clayface is Tom Rhys-Harris, handsome man. They're showing a picture of him without makeup. He's very attractive. And then
he doesn't look so handsome with the makeup on.
Yeah, it might be bad plastic surgery in that one where it went totally wrong. But apparently the person that's going to be his manager is Ray Donovan star Eddie Marsan.
I know him.
Yep. So we think this is going to be more like the fact that it's going to be more like the animated series where basically he's a struggling actor trying to keep his appearance and his fame. So, and then it says basically at this point, James Gunn says, Mike Flanagan is somebody who I've been friendly for a long time. And he wrote me about Clayface. He texted me about it really early on in my DC journey. Just being honest, I did not think that was something that was going to happen, but he came in and he pitched the idea and I was like, oh shit, that's cool. Sorry. It's a body horror movie. It's a horror movie that, like any cool body horror movie, just happens to be in the DCU. And he wrote the script, and the script was fantastic. We did not plan to do Clayface. So this is an idea of where the idea and the script really motivate it versus someone say, let's do a Clayface or let's do a Kool-Aid movie, right? And then
a Kool-Aid movie.
That's right.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, and you're right, because that's been Gunn's. That's how he's driving the bus. Is he says we don't shoot things that don't have a completed script. We are not going willy nilly. We're not saying I got this idea and we'll kind of jam it in and then we'll make some CGI and then we'll burr 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 burr. He's saying nope, completed scripts. Go into production. If it's not completed, don't tell me a line of BS. Just get out of here and finish it, and then I'll read it. And if I like it, then you got a chance. So I admire that. May that always be the way. May he not, throw that out the window someday because Warner Brothers says, "Oh, we need more stuff." And hopefully we've all learned our lesson from the streaming wars. Or they have all learned their lessons.
Hopefully learn the problem with the villain take from Spider-Man, right? That make the villains interesting, not so much, and make them bad movies. That's what I think we learned. This movie is coming out September 11th, 2026. So it's right in that horror film, a good time for it. And quite honestly, a lot of people aren't going to know who Clayface is because he's never been on the silver screen. So I think this will be a surprise for a lot of people and maybe manages more of that Joker feel when that really took off.
The first one, not the second one, yes. Which I've never seen, and I don't know if I ever will. Because
I haven't either. I don't know if I'm even that curious because no one defended that movie and said it's great.
That is the thing that makes you really dubious is that if nobody's like, but you just got to give it a chance. Watch the 4-hour cut of it. It'll be like Justice League, right? My God. Well, that is it for the news. We have got to get ourselves out of here. Todd's got to get away from his green screen. I got to get out of my studio because the Geek Easy awaits. Got to get ourselves down there. My Uber has arrived. I jump on in, smelling sweet like pine, and I hear this familiar advertisement.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to Zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover bands playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So this week, it's been kind of a weird week. I've had time to do things, but I got busy with other things. And so really it was just catching up and getting close to fully caught up on Alien Earth. I am through 3 episodes. I've started the 4th.
Right.
And it's kind of weird because it does kind of feel like it's a 3-part is kind of like the beginning of one story, or that it wraps up one part of the story and then it leads to another character and his kind of journey.
Yeah.
I tell you, I'm really enjoying this. Once again, I'm trying to figure out where this is going.
Right.
Some characters are out there that I feel like they have interesting ulterior motives. We were introduced to one of the other, through a phone call at least, one of the other owners of one of the corporations, Wayland Yutani.
Wayland and Yutani they're separate people we've met throughout this. One of them was Lance Hendrickson back in present times, and the Yutani was Guy Pearce, but in more of a future-ish kind of time, or at least that's when we met.
Which is interesting. So the character we met in this was a female who was reaching out to a person, and when the person called, talked to them, they were surprised to hear a different voice, and because they were in cryo for like 60 years. So
right.
basically had someone younger taking over the corporation, which was a surprise to that person. And then I think one of the other interesting things is we've got obviously Wendy, aka I can't remember what her real name is. She is an interesting connection to the aliens.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure why.
Ooh, that end of that 4th episode is interesting, having to do with her. You'll see.
Is that the one where it ends with the one song, the Metallica song?
That was the third episode.
That must be the 3rd. Okay.
Right.
So I ended there. So I'm on 4. I haven't watched it all, but really enjoying it. It's really cool. I don't know where this series is, if it's going to lead to just this is the standalone 1 season. That's it.
Right. That would be great. I'm not sure either. Yeah. No, but I'm enjoying it. But they're definitely doing some, and the Wendy character obviously being central, and how she is moving towards something a little outside of everything as it relates to the alien itself. Yeah, it's very interesting.
And the boy genius who's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Oddball. Well, I guess I'll get creepier. So even more to look forward to.
It should be. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I wrapped up Wednesday season 2, part 1. Which we're getting part 2 a couple days later this week. I think Wednesday, actually.
Yeah.
On Wednesday.
It would have to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Synergy. Really enjoying it. Obviously, they gave us a teaser at the end of that, and we are being introduced to the fact that Lady Gaga is now going to be in part 2, and I believe she is Morticia's sister.
Oh god! Who they've been dancing around through the episodes, but it ended on a cliffhanger. If you've not watched it, the first block ended on a cliffhanger, so you'll want to tune in. Yes. It ended on a cliffhanger, but the preview bit kind of solved the cliffhanger.
Yeah,
but it wasn't really hard to figure out that what was being suggested in the cliffhanger was going to be resolved. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you've not watched it by now, you've not watched it by now. But tune in. But like I said, it wasn't like, oh my God, is she really dead? I mean, come on.
Exactly. But I will say, I loved having Fester being kind of the focus of one episode. He was amazing. I'm like, he brings so much energy and quirk and fun. I'm like, man, it's just kind of neat how one character can really change the path of an episode. Because I will tell you, Pugsley, I don't like that actor. He's just so bland. I mean, maybe he's playing it that way, or they need to do something with the way they present him. He has no energy, and he just doesn't bring. He doesn't bring like the menace or something like that.
Yeah,
to other characters.
This in the storyline doesn't really seem to be going anywhere, as I recall. They're cultivating a zombie, and how does that going to tie back in? So yeah, they've kind of Poochie-ized him for this. You know what I mean? So they brought in more characters, which they could have left out and just kind of kept the focus on her on Wednesday, where they didn't. So yeah, I agree with you. I think it's kind of superfluous. Especially when we had a great Pugsley in those movies from the 90s. He was that kid was a good Pugsley.
He was kind of a little quirky, a little goofy, yeah. And he was, once again, though, he was never like the focus, whereas Christina Ricci obviously was great. And so we'll see how this goes, and I'm assuming we'll get a season 3 because it's huge.
Yeah, people are digging on it. No big. Did we have a dance? Was there a dance? Did we get any new dance moves? I'm trying to remember.
No new dances. Well, I'm sure there'll be something. Though.
Hopefully that'll be the way they wrap it up. Well, I didn't watch anything outrageous this last week. We started watching Seinfeld again just for the giggle of it, because we were talking about Seinfeld or saw something in a YouTube video about Seinfeld. And you and John and I were talking this morning, and I likened it to the first season, which was like 6 episodes. I likened it to Parks and Rec, but then I turned around and also likened it back to like the first season of The Simpsons. Almost completely unwatchable. No great moments. None of the jokes seemed to land. None of the jokes seemed to age well. Nothing looked great. And watching a bit more of the second season now, you're getting some of the more classic bits that are starting to stack up. So I'm enjoying that. But it'll be one of those back burner, who knows when, hey, we got to watch something quick. It's lunchtime or something. But still enjoyable. I think a lot of the humor holds up.
Do they reference, because originally it was the Seinfeld Chronicles, and I think that was just season 1.
Maybe that was
changed it just to Seinfeld.
I think it was just.
Did they reference that at all, or even show it anymore?
I think it was even just the first episode, because I don't think it was called Seinfeld moving forward. But yeah, there were really obvious big changes. Like Seinfeld's dad was a different actor. Seinfeld's apartment was a studio apartment in the first season, where in the second season he had a bedroom. Because he had a studio apartment and he slept on the couch, because there was his parents came up for a anniversary party and they took his bed, and then he had to go. Kramer was in the first season, but he had to go across the hall and bunk in with Kramer because he didn't have a bed. Yeah. Okay. So little thing. And then George was also a real estate agent in the first season. But they also managed to plant the seed about Art Vandelay and the importer-exporter, and not the latex part, but when he was making up jobs. And he also made up that he was an architect. So there were kind of little sprinklings of things that would flower to become signature, iconic Seinfeld bits. So I enjoyed it. But yeah, you can skip the first season, you can jump to the second one, but it's something that grows, I would imagine, and it kind of flowers as the seasons go by. What did you find out?
At Kramer's name in the first episode, they called him Kessler, and he was renamed to Kramer.
Kessler, he doesn't really roll off the tongue. So anyway, that's on Netflix if you happen to check it out. And then months and months ago, it was because of the Penguin. April and I said, let's go back and watch the Batman movies. And we made it through. I watched Batman the movie and some of Batman 66, which April can't stand. And then we watched the classic, the 89, which was very seminal to our youth. Those films were diminishing returns because they just got worse as they went on. But we watched them all because April is very much a completist. And then we watched the Batman from 2022 or 21.
Oh, the Batman,
The Batman with
2022.
Rob Bat, and that was better than I remembered. And then for some reason we got dropped off, or we did drop off. So we hopped over watching the Nolan trilogy, which of course I've seen many times. You've seen many times. You've often cited The Dark Knight for a long time as in your top probably 3 or 4, 3 to 5 movies, and that you love so much. And man, they really do still hold up. The first one is okay. The Dark Knight, I don't think they could have done any better. And then they kind of did the best that they could with the last one. You know what I mean? They're all very long movies, very involved, but still a very good start to finish Batman story. You know what I mean? Where, you have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and they, with the films, bang, bang, bang. And I can rarely think of a trilogy that is so complete. Now, the Star Wars, before it became all this, actually did tell a story that's had a beginning, middle, and an end, and that was pretty good.
You could have had no more Star Wars films, and you'd been okay. Yeah,
you would have been like, and they all lived happily ever after. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Things sucked in the beginning, they really struggled in the middle, and in the end, they saved the day.
Captain America kind of had a trilogy, but I think the issue was it didn't end because obviously it kept on going, and Secret Wars, the third Captain America film,
the Civil War.
Yeah, that was kind of unsatisfying if you think of like a standalone film.
Yeah.
But the first two, though, I thought were great.
Absolutely.
Like in a story for just about Cap. So I always felt like, Marvel doesn't allow characters to kind of have a complete arc because their arc never
because it's all really mixed in.
Right. Yeah.
It's all mixed in. But if you are somebody who is listening to this podcast and has not seen these films, first of all, wow, holy cow, can't believe it. It's available on HBO Max. Obviously, it's available video on demand and still in physical disc form. I highly recommend it. It's definitely one of my favorites.
Old as they are now.
First film was 05, 08 for the second one, and 2012 for the finale. So it's pretty wild. And I love that last movie. Everybody was in that movie. Tom Lennon had a role. Glenn Powell had a role. Ben Mendelsohn had a role. Yeah, exactly. It was just, there was just a crazy amount of people in that movie that were just like went on to have bigger and other things. Todd, you've not watched much of Twisted Metal, right? Didn't say you watched.
I've watched more of the first season, so I'm moving forward. What was the girl's name? Silent. Is that what her name was? Quiet. So now she is actually talking. Watched the last episode I watched. That was the Anthony Mackie and Quiet were needing weapons, so they got picked up by the convoy crew, and they solved that last story, or they gave that one old lady kind of a peaceful death, and then it went from there. So, so I have a lot more to catch up. I know Anthony Kerrigan is. I don't remember any of that. Season.
Yeah, you're right. The new season just gets. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous because you have this post-apocalyptic world. You don't really know why, but 25 years have passed since society fell apart, and it's basically Mad Max. People are driving around in cars with jagged metal guns and different stuff. And at the end of the last season, they had gone through everything to achieve this, and then by the beginning, at the end it falls apart, and then you have a second season where they're out there kind of discovering everything else. You're right, Anthony Kerrigan, who was Zaz in Gotham, and of course he's Metamorpho in the Superman movie that came out this summer, is your very over-the-top mustache twirling villain in the final episode. And again,
beautiful hair,
with a beautiful wigged hair. But again, this. Much like they do over on Prime, and this is on Peacock, or Peacork as I like to call it, because that came from 30 Rock and it rolls off the tongue. They released it in blocks. There'll be 2 here, 1 here, 3 here. The last release was 3. So the last 3 episodes came out. So bizarre. And it is revealed kind of where the whole Twisted Metal thing came from, and as it relates back to our main villain. But we get introduced to Anthony Mackie's character's sister in this, and the gang of the female gang of rogues that she leads, and it gets more and more silly and ridiculous.
Nice.
But it does end kind of with a cliffhanger that will keep the story moving. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'd recommend tuning in. It is graphic. The main villain is Sweet Tooth, who is this heavy set guy who wears a clown mask, and he is voiced by my God, it's going to escape me. The guy who was Lego Batman.
Will Arnett.
Will Arnett, exactly. But I mean, it's ridiculous because a lot of times he walks around with his head literally on fire and has no ill result. So everybody is a fantastical weird mutant. It's a little bit more Fallout than it is Mad Max. You know what I mean? As far as how people are amped up and weirdly.
Well, and I'm putting in the chat for you, Charlie, to watch later.
Oh, I see.
These are based on video games where it was just a combat competition, and it's like, so the first game from PS1, so it looks horrible, and then they started giving these characters more like movie likes in the intros for the games they got older, different versions. So the fact that they even weren't even able to adapt something as crazy as like dudes who have wheels for their arms, and that was
one of the other guys, a very very handsome black actor who you've seen in a ton of stuff, was that character. I cannot remember his name.
Like, how are they going to do that? Oh, he can remove the wheels.
They did, and he also drinks gasoline. He's just sitting there glugging, drinking gasoline, but he's a normal guy. Like, he's still talking and stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of.
So it's okay. It's okay. To drink gasoline.
Yeah, let's go do it right now. What do you think? Maybe we should have done that in Chicago. We should have gone to that gasoline bar.
All the gasoline you can drink.
Glug, glug, glug. Which is funny because, there was Patton Oswalt did a bit. He says, the guy who was the film critic on my local TV station would come on and say stuff like, well, there's no movie from Australia, so right there, whatever. But let me get this right. It's the post-apocalypse. There's no gas, but everybody's driving around in cars. I don't get it. No stars.
Nope. Exactly. Yep. Absolutely.
Anyway, all right. Well, that's it for me. So that takes us out of the Geek Easy. It is time to step into. Oh, I can't step into it unless I can't step into a plane if I don't order some tickets. But I got my Air Qantas app out, ordering up some tickets to get us down to the land down under, where Hologram Tina and the mutants await for us to take on the fabulous topic of good tunes gone bad. Saturday morning cartoons. Let's go.
To another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or game to be entertained, and this week we're doing something that, we've talked about for a long time, and that is talking about kind of Saturday morning cartoons and how a certain group of us that was essential to our childhood, but essentially hasn't existed probably in the last 20 years at the advent of cable TV.
Right. Oh God,
now streaming.
Yeah, you're talking more about going back maybe 25, closer to 30 years, really.
Yeah, we're talking the kids in the 90s, that was still something because if you didn't have cable, then you still relied on
the big three.
The main channels, but even Fox came along, and then you got some weird spinoffs. But really it was Saturday morning cartoons became a thing where they needed to fill programming on a Saturday morning where not much real estate was there to actually make money off of. There was no news shows on the weekend like you had the Today and things like that. Those didn't exist. So, and then Sunday was always the church day.
Oh, the church day.
Yes. So what can we do? And basically it also came with advertising laws were relaxed. So they were allowed to essentially fill that gap with cartoons.
Sell all this shit behind me if you're looking
with cereal, toys, everything under the sun. And a lot of those shows were toy lines that just became a 60-minute, a 30-minute cartoon advertisement. So, and I would say, 60s was the beginning of it, where you got shows, from Hanna-Barbera, kind of leaning in from Scooby-Doo and those type of things, to then what we were probably used to our shows. And then we saw typically, once again, ABC, CBS, Sunday morning. I think CBS was the first one that dropped it, maybe NBC as well. And then I think the last holdout was ABC. So, yes. And that was because essentially the Children's Television Act in 1990 basically created guidelines that had to be educational content,
Boo.
which meant more difficult. So that's why things shifted to cable, where you weren't restricted as much. So there we go. And,
the wild, wild west. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. So that's kind of a little bit of history of Saturday morning cartoons. But we're here to talk about the infamous shows that, quite honestly, when you had little choice, you ended up watching, because it was like a bad show was between, you had two bad shows with maybe one good one in between. So you kind of like had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Eat your cereal.
What else you going to do? Read a book? I don't think so.
Exactly. So
it's hard to read a book while you're eating that cereal. You know what I mean? It's just like,
yeah. So, hand. You were born in 76. I was born in 75. So we really didn't, probably don't remember a lot of those cartoons from the 70s. But if we were thinking about 70s cartoons, there were some interesting ones that they talk about that did not age well, which a lot of them did go to syndication. So maybe you watched them on like Channel 50 or 66 or whatever.
Right.
So one of the first ones, Charlie, The Amazing Chan and the Chan Clan.
Oh, God. Oh.
So Charlie Chan was a Asian detective. I believe he was part of like movies. I don't know if there were actually book adaptations or what it was.
I will tell you this, and for my mother was apparently a fan. We had what essentially boiled down to be a collected volume of comic strips, which I remember reading when I was one of the first things probably I ever read when I was a kid, because it had a big green cover, and I just remember watching this. And the one panel that stands out to me is somebody was walking beside a house and a bad guy threw a dagger from an upstairs window and killed him. It's a fragment of memory in my head from 45 years ago. I don't know. I don't have any other context.
Yeah. In this one, basically, Charlie Chan, actually was voiced by an Asian actor, but they actually redubbed all the other Asian voice actors with Caucasian actors. Great time. And of course, they solved mysteries, because you know what? You need kids to solve mysteries. Apparently, there were a lot more mysteries in the 70s than there are today.
Cut them loose. Yes, all the big mysteries have been solved.
Yes. Then we got Young Samson, also called Samson and Goliath. This is one of those horrible Hanna-Barbera action shows where, you got to love this, our titular hero, based on the biblical strongman, uses his super-powered bracelets, convert into a superhuman. And after that, he uses his bracelets to turn his pet dog into a laser-beamed eyed lion.
Why put all these for nothing? Animal Cruelty Act would kind of put that down.
I guess this is Charlie, it seems like this kind of inspired Battle Cat, where He-Man shot a beam at his, at Cringer and.
I know, but Cringer didn't go around shooting people himself. That sounds super violent. So, oh boy, this one is pretty prissy. And if I can jump forward a little bit,
sure.
Super President.
Yes,
it's the opposite of what we have right now.
Oh my goodness, this is great. The leader of the free world is also a masked superhero with Mystique-like powers. It basically had they had subliminal buy me stuff ads throughout the broadcast.
Oh my God.
Which, that was a big part of it. Just we remember probably the commercials more than we do remember a lot of these shows too. And you're like, oh, that catchy theme song or that fun little bit.
Yeah, yes. Right. Oh, I like this next one just very briefly, and this was live action. Imagine the fugitive for kids. Instead of Dr. Richard Kimball falsely accused of killing his wife, we have a German Shepherd dog falsely accused of biting his master for 2 seasons. This went on. What? The dog didn't even have any lines. And was he compensated? Was he compensated appropriately? That's the question.
Yeah, and he just went around solving crimes as the dog may do, finding other families.
Yeah, right. Oh, look, I found this bag of drugs. That's as much as a dog is going to do, right? Oh, I found your stash. That's about it, right?
Oh, here we go. And this is one that's fun. The Hudson Brothers Razzle Dazzle show.
Oh, my God.
We did get some of these odd shows that were like live action, maybe variety. And this one is this family of brothers, I guess, who... and they had Dance Fever's resident DJ Freeman King,
Resident Evil,
and just like I guess they had one hit. Yeah, and it was just dumb. So there you go. You got that. But remember, like Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. Those, there was live action stuff on Saturday morning too, not just cartoons. We got like Land of the Lost. We got those type of shows too.
Yeah.
Shows, Lidsville, and those weird shows that just made no sense.
My God.
It was crazy. But yeah, I mean, since we can't really talk too much about the 70s, so we're going to get into the 80s. So the 80s, Charlie.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
And then, yeah, so we had basically, this article says 12 cartoons from the 80s no one will ever have nostalgia for. This is from Moto.
I only feel like I can pick out one or two of these that I'm familiar with. Like the first one I've heard of, a bear called Kissy Fur. When a circus train derails, two performing bears escape into the swamp in Paddle Cab County. And the Kissy Fur is the son of the big bear, and they have to navigate their way to freedom. And this went on for 4 years. 4 years.
That's crazy. I did watch some Kissy Fur episodes, but yeah, once again, this was just a very much about a father and his son and kind of like mild hijinks. Dad was a paddle cab and there's gators. I'm like, I guess that was entertaining. I don't know who had the idea for this. Like, oh, kids will love this. I mean,
boy, bears.
Cute, I guess.
Let's get cozy with bears. Yeah, the rest of these, I got to be honest with you. None of these are jumping out at me as ones I'm really remembering. There's a Ghostbusters, but it's not the Ghostbusters.
Potato Head Kids was like, it was. I don't remember it being on Saturday morning, but I do remember it being like on like Channel 50, like weekday mornings when you're getting ready for school. There was like, this show and this show was like this block, and Potato Head Kids was apparently they thought, well, Mr. Potato's not that instrument sort of interesting, so they brought out new toys. And they were called Potato Head Kids, where they were just all kids and they had adventures. I guess it was Hasbro. I mean, really, yeah. A lot of these shows they just need an excuse to make a commercial for 15 minutes where you would buy the toys, kind of like Shirt Tales or Glowworm had a cartoon, I think. Even it's just so odd.
Well, the real juice is going to be when we get into this art that you shared back on the main flow. So you grabbed one from each network. And the first one is beautiful, and talk about a busy image, but there's a lot going on here. So this is from the 70s. I don't believe it's dated, or I'm going to say even early 80s, but this is from CBS. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of shows. So from top left, and I don't know if you will be seeing these on the YouTube as well, but this was a long day to watch stuff, but this is 8 a.m. and this dropped on September 11th. But Sylvester and Tweety kicked off the day. Bugs Bunny and the Roadrunner had an hour block at 8:30. Then you get a Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, with Tarzan.
So what was happening at 9 o'clock? Was it the news? Because you got nothing at 9 o'clock, then 9:30 Tarzan's showing up.
Well, no. The Bugs Bunny Road Hour thing was an hour. So it was 8:30 to 9:30.
Oh, it just starts at 8:30.
Yes. So yeah, then we get back to, I'm assuming, half-hour blocks, even though in the corner it does say in the news. So, but it doesn't show when they sneak that in. Do they sneak? Maybe they're sneaking. What does it say there? Do they sneak in little bursts of news here and there?
Probably. Throughout the morning. Yeah, there'll be news.
There you go.
And then at 10 o'clock and at 10:30, you've got 2 live action shows, which are Shazam and ISIS. So Shazam was a horrible TV show.
Those were. I watched a video on this. I think it was in my hotel room when we were in Chicago. I was watching a video about these.
ISIS. There was an
ISIS. Joanna Cassidy, I think it is, or Joanna somebody. But
Joanna Cameron.
She was a one-hit wonder. She never, to my knowledge, went in and had another.
This was 75. Yeah.
This was 75. So this was before either one of us would have been watching anything because you were a baby. And I wasn't born yet.
The Shazam show was about Billy Batson riding around the country in an RV with his old grandpa. And he could turn into Shazam at any time, but they didn't really do anything interesting.
So it was like the Incredible Hulk traveling the country part of it, or Supernatural, or like the Reb Brown as Captain America and those couple movies he did. Just kind of like, we filmed it all in L.A. County, and it was like it was super cheap.
Yeah, and it's weird that they would like make a live action show with superheroes and stuff like that. because I don't know if it was that cheaper or more expensive than animation. And
it depends on who they're filming, and I've always thought, where's the expense in animation? But obviously, you got to pay a lot of people, a lot of stuff, and you got to hire people you can trust to not draw dicks into things. Because didn't that happen to The Little Mermaid? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was always those animators had those jokes. But I mean, then we go to then at 11 o'clock, another live action series, Arc 2. And I believe you and I and Brian were talking about this. He remembers the show Arc 2 where there was this weird space vehicle that looked like a big RV. And it was, once again, a science fiction live action show. And then we got the Clue Club, which was they
had two dogs.
Famous, yes, two dogs, kids, once again, solving mysteries.
Right.
Kind of just, hey, Scooby-Doo's popular. Let's do this. Double the dogs.
Oh, my God. Not to steal your thunder, but lower left, we have Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. Now, Fat Albert was very near and dear to us pre-Cosby finding out he's a monster. But look at the picture of Bill in this animation. He's like... It's not good. Oh, it's not good. Oh.
Yeah, Kids in the Hoods with, what they did,
Mush Mouth and Weird Harold. And again, these were all Cosby's. I refuse to listen to his comedy anymore, but I listened to so much of it as a kid. All of the Fat Albert characters were real people that Bill Cosby grew up with. Yes. We move over now. So we're past noon Eastern. It is, by the way, 11 o'clock into the Way Out Games. There's another live action.
That reminds me of
unscripted.
That type of show.
Right.
Wow, and then we get a movie film fest at 1 o'clock. It's live. Films from all over the world, especially for kids, hosted by Kukla, Fran, and Ollie. And if your parents behave, you can let them watch too.
Oh, my God. So they have you from 8 a.m. to, well, in a movie presentation could be maybe over 2 hours. So it's 3 o'clock. You've now killed most of your Saturday sitting in front of the TV. While
watching lots of ads
and saying, Mom, I really need more. I need Lucky Charms. Yes. I need G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu Grip. Well, in the 1980s over on NBC, and I'm going to say this is maybe 81. It does. Oh, it says 1981. We have the Superstar Saturday Pow. What has the Smurfs and Space Stars and Spider-Man in the Super Power Hour? That thing that I just said. There's exciting new fun in 81 kicking off. Now, this doesn't have the times, but you can imagine it's not dissimilar. Flintstone Comedy Hour kicking things off. Flintstones.
How many versions of the Flintstones did they have?
When did the Flintstones come out? Remember? They come out when it was still black and white.
Well, they came out in the early 60s, I believe.
Yeah.
It was basically on the Honeymooners. But this one, it was like, I guess there was a cave mouse in this one. Captain Caveman was not in this one.
Oh, boy.
There wasn't weird monsters that the Flintstones lived by. There wasn't they'd grown kids like the Pebbles and Bam Bam.
Oh, God, that's right.
So many stupid Flintstone cartoons.
People kept watching them.
Nobody cared.
And this was the beginning of what is a sad property in this day and age, which is the Smurfs, because there was another Smurf movie this summer. I couldn't even watch the trailers for the latest Smurf movie. It looked so god-awful. We moved on. Now, hold on. Now, the one up here was CBS. This is NBC from 6 years later. Now Shazam is over on NBC.
I remember this. The Kids Superpower Hour with Shazam had a theme song and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was live action again or if it was...
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up.
No, to me, it looks animated. And when something is... I think all of this stuff is animated, if I'm not mistaken.
So it was animated.
Okay.
I think. I'm just trying to find something that really gets into it.
So it says teenagers can fly at Hero High. They're superheroes in training facing missions impossible on and off campus.
Live action. This is live action. This looks horrible.
Oh, wow.
My God. I may have to find a video of this. Yes.
Well, no, it says Filmation Associates. Very good. I always thought Filmation was animated. But anyway.
Alan Oppenheimer is in this.
He was a Star Trek guy.
Lou Scheimer played Black Adam. Oh, my God. I got to find a trailer of this.
Oh, my God.
This is great.
Moving on to Space Stars, where we did it. Now, these look kind of familiar. The little glob things that look like kind of like it would be like if you took Elmer's glue and blopped it out and it stood up straight.
Oh, yes. It's like the Shmoo. Was it the Shmoo?
The Shmoo. Well, in Space Ghost. There's, crazy cosmic travelers zoom in and out of action. Space Ghost, the Herculoids, Teen Force, Astro, and the Space Mutt. So it's just, they just jammed it all together. And
I mean, they took out they took old stuff, newer stuff. They just basically turned it into like we need 15 minutes of this. We'll take old stuff, put it in there, and it's like, okay. But most of these were just not what I would call like these more comedic and goofy shows rather than like, wow, it's something really cool and, exciting.
Bite your tongue, because the next program is Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Correct.
Which to me is a classic. Yes. I say that, and I watched one recently, and I was like, meh. Villains beware, Spider-Man is here, the world's most popular hero. I think that was kind of dubious at this. I don't think that was accurate at this point. Spins a web of excitement with brave Iceman and beautiful Firestar, a character created for the show, later introduced into the comics, into the X-Men, and became an Avenger and a new warrior, etc. Iceman, of course, being one of the original X-Men. And we're wrapping the day up with the Daffy and Speedy show. Speedy Gonzalez being a very problematic character in this day and age.
Yes.
Yeah, that you don't want to talk about. And then Rocky and Bullwinkle, that's a property that I feel like has fallen off the face of the earth since there was a live action film in the early 2000s, and I feel like
that's been it. Yeah, that's about it. And I don't know if these were just reruns. Once again, obviously the Looney Tunes. There was always someone showing Looney Tunes on Saturday morning, whether it was ABC, CBS, whatever. Because Warner Brothers didn't own a network, so they could show the stuff anywhere. Right. And then, Bullwinkle was a throwback to the 60s, so that was brought back. So kind of weird.
Funny that you should mention ABC, because our final pictorial before we get into the core shows that we chose to talk about, one of them actually gets covered here. So this is on September 10th, Kids Love Saturdays on ABC. And this is, again, starting at 8 a.m. and going to 11:30. These are times Eastern, and I do love how they have it an hour earlier, Central and Pacific. Sorry, Mountain Time. we don't care about you. And
don't get it.
In Atlantic Time, go fuck yourself. We don't care about you at all. So it started off with the reruns Best of Scooby-Doo at 8 a.m. The Little Rascals and Richie Rich show. I feel like I've heard of this before. Animated. Richie Rich was never not animated before the 90s.
They had, Richie Rich, I remember that cartoon, really thought was fun. Like Fiona, the robot, and all that fun stuff. And there was a Little Rascals animated show. So
there you go.
I was like, kids love that 1930s live action show with
it's a depression. We can't find anything to eat. We're sleeping in the street. Yeah, it's good stuff. The next show I'll talk about a little bit more in depth in a minute. It was called The Monchi Cheese. More on that later. I can't believe we didn't touch on this, but this was the year, whatever year this was. I think this was 83, if I'm looking at the sidebar 83. Here. Yep. Pac-Man got his debut where he's both a guy wearing a brown derby hat, and he is also wearing a mask and a cape.
Well, that was
very thigh-high boots.
Super Pac was different than regular Pac-Man, so it was their superhero in Pac-Land.
Oh, okay.
Save the day from the evil ghosts and Oberon, the evil master of the ghosts.
Really, Oberon? That's my summer drink. You know that. I love me an Oberon from
and they
Bellsbury.
would have trees, and the whole thing was they were growing power pellets on trees, so the ghosts wanted them, and they powered everything. So there you go, Charlie. A little too much about.
I did. For some reason, I tuned in and watched. But speaking of things that were topical that didn't age well, we had Rubik the Amazing Cube. So you have three kids holding onto a Rubik's Cube, which kind of has a face
was an alien.
It kind of has a face like E.T., but not really.
Because he was an alien. The kids found him, and if you
just like
solved the Rubik's Cube, he did magical things for you.
Yeah.
And once again, it was based on a toy Rubik's Cube
that they wanted you to buy. Exactly. Yeah. We get down to the littles, which you and I were talking about this in the pre-roll. That is my least favorite expression that people use for children. But these were like rat things with tails. You see one that is kind of dressed like they belong in that Muppet band. Doesn't that kind of look like Janice? The one who's the male?
Yeah, I mean, they lived in your house. They were stealing things, fighting.
I like it.
hamsters, I guess. I don't know. They had adventures.
Fighting hamsters with a knife.
Yes.
Puppies Further Adventures. There's no context to this one. There's no picture.
Well, there's
nothing.
Puppies there with one had long ears, so I guess
I
he
see
flies
them
kind
now.
of like Dumbo.
Oh, now I get it. Okay.
I guess because it was the time when people loved Benji and all those
Right.
shows that I found boring.
Now you have a new Scooby. No, we talk a lot about Scooby-Doo over on the Facts Geek Life on our Patreon because my buddy Jonathan Snedeker is a big fan of Scooby-Doo. There was a new Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo show at this time. So now we're up to
Was this the intro to Scrappy, I assume, then?
Oh, I wouldn't know. It's possible. It's possible. The research drone would turn this out. And anybody who grew up in the 80s remembers Menudo, which gave us Ricky Martin. If you're from the 2000s, you'll know that. But yes, watch for Menudo on ABC. It gets a little fuzzy.
So it's in between.
Oh, there you
it
go.
was in between Rubik and the Littles every week, and they just would do like music videos.
Yeah, and Menudo was a band that was famous for having a member, chewing them up and spitting them out when they reached a certain age, and they would just bring in another younger kid, and they kept it, and it went on for a long time. I think
and
they did. They had a little dances and everything. They were more of a prefab boy band than even the Monkees were. You know what I mean? Just absolutely big time. So
they were trying to break their way into broader America,
right?
And I remember some of those songs, but yeah, definitely not big in the U.S.
Right.
So we did pick 4 shows. We're not going to really talk too long because I hate to say it, these shows don't have a lot of depth. And
I mean, Todd, you watched each one of these episodes. I did not because I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna. And then I did what I do when I'm making the notes for one of our Patreon shows. I helped myself to a little bit of Wikipedia, give you a little context. But I'll start because my first one I just mentioned, it was the Manchi-Chis. In summary, the Manchi-Chis are monkey-like creatures who live in the forest land of Manchia at the tops of very tall trees. Well above the clouds, the tribe's leader, Wizar, is a magical wizard who can make up spells and potions to defeat their enemy, Horg, and the evil Grumplins of Grumplore. You guys, it rolls right off the tongue. Yes, this was made to back up a line of stuffed toys released by Japanese company, Segunchi? I think maybe Corporation. Hanna-Barbera started in September of 83 as part of Manchi-Chi's Little Rascals Richie Rich, replacing Pac-Man that had moved up. So actually, very prescient to what we were just talking about. All right, Todd, you watched this entire thing.
Yes.
Right from the jump, I will say the theme song absolutely did not age well. It was a white guy kind of speaking in those steel drum rhythms and singing along. Just did not do it for me.
So I was looking at trying to remember the names of all the characters, and it doesn't seem right, but that's okay. So the Manchi-Chis is this group of little monkey people based on the little toys you found. They're kind of like they're the inspiration for Labubu is the best way to probably put it. They were very popular.
Right.
They're actually back again, but they would put their thumb in their mouth like a baby, I guess. Their tail.
I was watching the clips with April upstairs, and I said, I know that we had some around the house when I was a kid. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, they were just very popular, very cute. People loved them, and of course, turned them into a TV show. But this was about these Manchi-Chis who live in the trees, who are oh so soft and cuddly, because that's the name of the commercial. But it was basically, the theme song sounded like it was trying to be Jamaican,
right?
And it was like Manchi-Chis mean happiness. It was very weird. And they're in a society where it looks like it's almost like Gilligan's Island level of technology, where it was bamboo and coconuts doing most of the work. They had a wizard whose name was Wizar,
right?
And this episode was about him having his birthday,
right?
So
they're trying to make him a cake or whatever.
They wanted to get him a case for his wand, so they had to steal it. And then
nice. Great lesson for kids. I like it.
And then you got this little incorrigible little guy who was always causing mischief and havoc, who I can't remember what his name was, but he was a little guy and he talked really fast. And
looked like he
caused mischief.
Looks like he could have used some Ritalin. So
he decided he wanted to make Wizard a cookie of himself for his present. And of course, what goes wrong? The Wizard is he's trying to do some things. He didn't notice his wand was gone, and then along the way, the wand accidentally turns the cookie Wizard alive, and he starts doing hijinks, kind of like think of like the gingerbread man, doing hijinks and things like that, which unfortunately causes Wizard to go through a midlife crisis, even though he's like 1,000 years old, and he leaves because he doesn't think he can do magic anymore. And so part of it is trying to get this cookie to stop doing crazy things and to find Wizard and make him happy again. So Charlie, they flew their little device and they went to find him, and he was living in a cloud. So they towed the cloud because Wizard did not want to do it.
Yes.
And he saved the day because he realized he was still useful.
Oh my God.
And that was a 24-minute episode, which was way too long. And
like I said,
wasn't very funny.
I was good for 5 minutes, and that was ended in the scene in the kitchen. I thought, I got to squeeze in all 4 of these, and I don't want to give this thing 2 hours of my day. But so I'm glad you watched it.
I mean, and it just seems like, yes, the good people, the Monchis went up to the trees in the sky, and the Grumplins are on the ground being grumpy, and there was no villains in this episode. It was just wacky hijinks.
Oh, gotcha. Well, so we didn't really get to the core of the conflict.
No, we didn't get the mythology. There wasn't the canon. I'm sure it got developed over time, and then we got deaths and babies and.
Oh my God! All right. Well, let me blast into talking about my second one here, as we're kind of running on time here. So I picked this one very off the cuff. I will admit, I haven't watched much of it, but this is based around one of my very favorite musicians.
I'm telling Rick Springfield.
You better not. Well, you stepped on my joke. Richard Springthorpe, who would be Rick Springfield. This is called Mission Magic. It was an American show starring rock star Rick Springfield. This was before he really hit it big. His big break was in the 1980s with Jesse's Girl and being on General Hospital. So this was when he was spending the 10 years prior to that trying to get his big break. This is a spinoff of the Brady Kids, which I did not pick up on that. 16 episodes aired from September to December of 1973. It was also broadcast in Australia. Springfield was a native, where he was a much bigger celebrity. The show involved Miss Tickle, problematic name, a magical teacher who could transport her students to fantasy realms through her magic blackboard. Had a great theme song. I knew the theme song far more than I knew anything about the show. I absolutely loved in the bit that I watched that Rick Springfield is speaking with a thick, almost comical Australian accent, where to listen to him speak, he's lived in this country for 50 years, so he does not really ooze Australian when he speaks, when you hear him.
It's so weird because, like, my father-in-law, who's British, still has a very thick British accent. So it's like, I think he's kind of like Mel Gibson, same thing. Yeah, he no longer has an accent. He's just an actor. So it's turned it off.
It's an exact. Yeah, right. You get a dialect coach and you say, get the Australian out of me, apparently. Did his own voice for his animated doppelganger on the show. He always wore Springfield always wore white pants and a white sweater, which sported on the front an encircled lowercase r with a lightning bolt in the background. This design was taken from the back cover of his 1973 album, Comic Book Heroes, which I have that album somewhere. So that was the concept of the show. And I watched the first clip, and it was very much as we just described. They were chatting with Miss Tickle, and Rick was on one end of the line speaking in his Australian accent through a speaker box, and they end up going on a voyage to basically kind of a bizarro world kind of thing, where you got
backwards.
People are walking backwards, and they speak backwards. And Todd, where did the plot go from there?
Well, apparently Miss Tickle is like a magic witch. She has a magical purse with like a dial that does everything. So she can she decided that she was going to say, well, we can't understand them. We're going to turn the dial to basically turn this whole society.
She's a powerful
so they can
witch.
Drive forward, they can walk forward, and they can talk forward. But they said, just like Star Trek, Charlie, they did not want to change their culture.
Right. Even though they 1,000% changed their culture.
Exactly. Now, prime directive.
Was she educated at Hogwarts or the American equivalent? I poorly?
don't know, but she had like a magic slide rule that could do certain things, and
that's very 70s. Because
I didn't really understand the plot, but there was these two villains who wanted to capture this poet, who I think was supposed to be like Longfellow, but it was another name for a poet. And
Shortfellow.
He was sad, and like they try to figure out the mystery and try to get these villains, and it was really long and didn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
Like, they ended up getting thrown in jail because they tried to return jewels to the jewelry store, and they said, "Oh, silly us!
You don't have a
That's
receipt."
illegal in this world. We take jewels out of stores." And yet they committed the crime, and they were in a jail. So I think, wouldn't you not be in a jail?
Yeah, if you did a crime, they would let you free, right? Because that's your
rules
punishment.
of this world did not matter, and it didn't. Yeah, so it's like at this point, you use it to your own obedience of what you want the world to be. So I didn't understand this at all.
Use it to your own obedience.
And I don't understand why these criminals wanted to capture the poet, and they got foiled. And we then found out why the poet was sad is because he won Best Poet of the Year, and because if you're sad, like crying, it's the opposite. So if you cry, you're happy, Charlie.
My gosh, the tears go from the bottom to the top.
And I don't know what the point of Rick Springfield was, but there was a cat mascot, and then Rick Springfield had an owl friend, and they were just always doing wacky things. And
there was a lot.
And then it ended with a song where Rick Springfield sang a song about two rights don't make a wrong. And
I know the song.
Baby.
I know the song. And Making a Baby.
Making a Baby. God. Yeah.
Oh my God. Now I'm not sure. All right, let's rip through these last ones pretty quickly here. Todd, these are yours. I'll read the summary and then you can take it over. Laverne and Shirley in the Army. The Invasion of the Booby Hatchers, not touching that one. Animated television series Hanna-Barbera and Paramount in 1981 and 1982. Spun off of live action sitcom Laverne and Shirley. Now, was this after that show was over? Because I can't remember how long that ran.
No, it was still going.
There was the chance to kind of push people in that direction.
Yep.
So titular characters voiced by Penny Marshall and Cindy Williams were the star of the show. Loosely based on the two-part episode We're in the Army Now, in which Laverne and Shirley enlisted in the Army, and this is kind of taking it to the next step. This replaced Thundar the Barbarian on ABC during that time period. It was not
canceled by ABC to make room for this show.
Oh, I see.
Good job for us.
God. Yeah. It was not as popular as the show it replaced. That's not a good sign.
It's not good to replace something and be worse than it.
Yeah, you're rolling the dice and you come up snake eyes. The series is set at Camp Fillmore, follows the comedic antics of Laverne and Shirley as privates in the Army. They wind up getting involved in clandestine escapades with their immediate superior, a pig named Sergeant Squealy, who is always threatening to report them or squeal to his superior, Sergeant Turnbuckle. So they're both sergeants, but I guess the other guy has another stripe.
Probably an E6,
Yeah, there you go. So we have an E5 versus an E6. The series aired for one season of 13 episodes in 81 and 82. Wow. Yeah, so I got the first part of it. I watched they were digging a ditch or digging their own graves. I don't know. And then they were quibbling about, well, we got to do what he says because he's a sergeant. Burr, 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 burr. So yeah, that was what I got. That's as far as I got.
Well, Charlie, you missed all the fun because then basically Squealy ratted on them and told them they're being bad, and they had to then stand watch out of something that was covered in a tarp, and it said top secret. They're not going to tell them, of course. So Laverne and Shirley start looking, and guess what, Charlie? It's a rocket. So they end up getting inside of the rocket, and things go awry, and they accidentally start the rocket, and it flies into outer space.
Oh, I'd say they started World War III. They shot it right at Moscow.
Exactly, because the Army has a lot of just rockets hanging around. It's very easy.
Anybody can operate, right?
And these series, because Laverne and Shirley was set as a part of Happy Days in the 50s, early 60s.
Right.
So this is before, we actually went into space. so John F. Kennedy obviously wanted this to happen.
They're trying to tell us that an animated Laverne and Shirley were the first astronauts?
Yes. So there wasn't. And so according to where this went, they ended up getting stopped by aliens. And the aliens want to take things over. And Laverne and Shirley met a robot that granted thoughts wishes. So
this is all in this one episode? Jeez.
All in this one episode. And they ended up Shirley dressed up like one of the aliens that kidnapped them. And they didn't realize, obviously looked exactly like them. They stopped them. They caused hijinks, and they ended up sabotaging their ship. and they end up getting released. The rocket gets released, and they go back to Earth. So yeah, that happened.
It's incredible.
Totally reasonable, but I will give Penny Marshall and Cindy Williams props. Man, they were giving them all. I mean, they put a lot into the performance.
Yeah,
I'll give them props. I don't know how much they were getting paid, but I don't know whose idea it was to say, we're going to have a sergeant and it's a pig. No
matter what they were getting paid, the guy who voiced the pig got paid more because it was the 70s. It was terrible.
The pig sounded like a girl, but they kept on saying him. So who knows?
Well, Sergeant Turnbuckle, he pulled up in a Jeep, and he definitely was an E5. So I felt like Squealy was wearing one stripe, which would just make him a private. So I think they didn't get their stripes right.
Charlie, there's not a lot of attention to detail because Laverne and Shirley were privates too. But the last show is Fonz and the Happy Day Gang.
Take us away.
Episode was called King for a Day. This is the first episode. And what I liked about both these shows, the intro kind of explained the plot. Basically, there's this spaceship that shows up with a girl named Cupcake.
Loved it.
Can travel through time, and somehow Fonz, Richie, and Ralph Malph are the only three characters from Happy Days. But then they, of course, have a mascot dog named Mr. Cool.
Why not?
Kind of talks, kind of wacky.
Yeah,
and they go on adventures.
Yeah, he's kind of talking. It's weird.
He kind of talking, kind of sassy, and they keep mentioning they got to get back to 1957 because they're traveling through time.
Right,
and
they're lost in time. It's like Quantum Leap or Legends of Tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. So
kind of like that. Yeah.
So I'm assuming this was the first episode, or at very least there was one executed bit in the 5 minutes that I watched where they're in prehistoric times. They land on a brontosaurus's back, and the brontosaurus, which is of course a herbivore, tries to bite them, and he just bites himself because they disappear and bam. Which I don't
hijinks.
I don't feel like it would do that. Yeah, I do love that Cupcake kind of looks like Roller Girl from Boogie Nights, like she's got the same outfit.
And she was voiced by Dee Dee Kong.
Okay,
Dee Dee Kong from like the pink lady from Grease.
Okay. I always swore that Dee Dee Khan and the Na Visitor, who was Major Kieran Diaz Hussein, I thought they were related or they were the same person. Because if you look at what's her face and then you look at Nana, I'm just saying, and I've talked to Nana. She's been on our show, so I don't know. I always had that misconception at that time.
Dee Dee Khan was always the kind of geeky girl.
Right.
So this episode, they traveled prehistoric times. They ran into cavemen. Fonzie ran into a very horny cave woman.
And it was Malf and Richie and Fonzie, all the same voices. So Ronnie Howard it was him. And then Don Most as Ralph Malf. So the actors from the show.
Henry Winkler, all the actors were in on this. They must have been part of their contract or something. They're going to do this. I'm like, okay. And apparently they couldn't get Anson Williams or Tom, what's his name? Tom Bosley or the mom who Marion,
and of course Joni or Chachi. Well, the less said about Chachi, the better.
This was all about them landing. They got separated. So Malf and Richie got captured by the caveman, and Malf was turned into the king. And we find out why is because the caveman sacrificed the king to the fire gods. And so hijinks happen. Horny cave girl helps Fonz. Yes. And lots of hijinks ensue with Mr. Cool. He's always pulling gadgets out from somewhere. Like,
oh my God.
He's digging to find something, and he pulls out a bone that's the size of him. So he's very excited about the bone. And
very excited about the bone.
Fonzie fixes the spaceship by kicking it or hitting it.
Right.
And Mr. Cool screws up and they end up crashing. Kind of like think of like the TARDIS getting screwed up.
Right.
Like has a minor.
Right. And again, this ran for a year. So basically 2 seasons. Because you assume it would, if it ran from, November to May and then it went off and then they came back on. So Yeah. And contemporaneously with the regular program that was a huge hit on ABC at the time. So
correct. I mean, this was like, I mean, a lot of shows did this. They had animated spin-offs and things like that. I mean, Alf had an animated series. You
come at them a different way.
Of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't get, I mean, it would just be like, I'm trying to think of like a show that would be like similar to like Mr. Even the A-Team, Mr. T got a spin-off, which is so weird. You just don't see that anymore.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the closest was like what Mike Tyson's where that was that Adult Swim show, Mike Tyson's Adventures.
Oh God, yeah.
It was taking the A-Team concept of Mr.
Right,
T, solving mysteries with kids.
Oh my God.
So there's obviously far more of these that are bad, and there's even worse ones out there. So folks, if you're curious about what it was like growing up as a kid with limited options, you watch a lot of crappy cartoons.
You sure did.
That's all you got.
And you never knew any better. It took us coming up and having our voice, being able to express it this way to tell you all about it. But Todd, you'll put some of these in the show notes so people can explore, I assume. Yep. That would be great. Good deal. All right. Well, that's the show, folks. This has been a ton of fun. And again, this was our penultimate adventure. Secret Friends is morphing into something a little bit different, but we are going to be back next week to wrap up the summer movie wager. We're bringing back our friend John, who was with us when we started it all. But this has been a blast. It's been amazing. It's been a good time. So Todd, currently, where do people find you out there?
They find me at Todd Oxtra on the Blue Sky, and then at Todd Oxtra with a dot in the middle, probably, or no, T Oxtra on the Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. So find me there for current and new information.
He'll be there. And as always, I am available on Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram as @the C3, TheCeeThree. I will be stepping into the Gulf to work a little bit more with our Secret Friends Unite Instagram. And then I will be starting the Secret Friends Unite TikTok at some point, where I hope to do your man on the street talking about current stuff this show was on. That thing is happening. Look for that in the next several weeks. That's a commitment I'm making. But also, our Secret Friends Unite Discord is strong, and to me, one of the best places around to have fun, safe conversations about geek culture and pop culture at large. If you're a Discord person, find us there. If you don't, send one of us a social note. We'll send you a link, and we'll welcome you into the family. But that's been our show. Friends, thank you as always for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
Mr. Cool, not so cool.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.